Lately, I've been wondering if I'm struggling to manage my home with just 2 kids. How are moms with 3, 5, 7, even 9 kids? How are they doing it? What do they know that I don't? So I went on a mission. I watched hours and hours of content from moms who have way more kids than I do, and I learned a lot. If you only have time to find out what those things are, here you are. Take a screenshot, and I hope it helps you, inshallah. If you want to find out how I implemented these in my own kitchen, stick around for the rest of the video. The first tip that came highly recommended was to do an ingredient prep day, and this makes so much sense when you think about the fact that washing, peeling, and chopping is what takes up most of the time of cooking. If you have that done ahead of time, you can literally just throw anything together and make a meal instantly. Now, even if I don't meal plan for the week, it can go any direction you want to take it. You have the basic ingredients ready for most meals that you want to make. Before I did this, it felt like every time I went to cook, I was hitting speed bump after speed bump. And with my already limited time to cook, by the time the kids wake up from their naps, it felt like I had barely gotten anything done because I was just too busy refilling spice jars or chopping onion. This has significantly increased the efficiency of my meal prep, and I couldn't go back to my old way of cooking. Next is double whatever you're making. This one sounds very obvious, but there's a few things to it. One is the fact that you have to have more ingredients than you normally would buy. For example, if you're trying to make like a double portion of meatballs, you would have to buy more meat that you would normally buy in a week. This was hard for me to reconcile with at first because it meant spending more every week, and when you're buying a lot of meat at once, it does get expensive. But if you just think about it in a way that you're just taking your future expense and bringing it to now so that you can minimize effort in the future. I will add one thing about doubling portions or making extra is how many things you can actually freeze or you can prep ahead of time and store in the fridge. I was kind of limited to the few things that I was already batch cooking, but think outside the box when it comes to doubling food portions. Get larger cookware. Now this tip goes hand in hand with the previous one because you can't really double or triple portions properly if you don't have big enough pots and pans. When we first got married, we got the little cutesy, enough for a married couple, maybe a small family, but as our family grew and I started batch cooking to save time, I found that I was being very restricted by the amount of food I can make simply because it just wouldn't fit. My very first large, or as I like to call it, my big girl cookware was actually gifted to me by my sister-in-law a few years ago, and it was this large cast iron skillet. Once I started using it, I was using it for everything because it could fit a lot more than what I was able to previously. And through time, I invested in a couple of extra large stock pots, an extra large baking sheet, and a large Dutch oven that I love very much. And using them has increased my food prep output tenfold. Now the next tip, I fought doing this for a very long time. My thinking was I'm exhausted at the end of the day and the last thing I want to do is clean my kitchen. But oh my god, it really does affect how your next day starts, because whatever kind of day you've had, the next day is a fresh start. But if you wake up and you still see the mess from the other day, it's like bringing the baggage of yesterday into today. I didn't want to do this for a while because you're just exhausted at the end of the day and the last thing you want to do is clean your kitchen. But once I started doing it, I literally never looked back. To make it easier for me to close my kitchen every single night, I started doing a few things ahead of time. I start closing my kitchen before dinner so that the vast majority of whatever needs to be done is done ahead of time, so that after dinner all we have to do is just put the dinner dishes in the dishwasher, maybe sweep some crumbs from the floor, and that's it. And after the kids' bedtime, I prefer not to do anything. How I used to do this is after the kids went to bed, I would put on a podcast and just slowly relax and clean my kitchen. But I realized that was eating into my me time because after we put the kids to bed, I prefer to not do anything housework related. It's just my time to take a shower, relax, hang out with my husband. Now, there are times where for whatever reason I fell behind during the day and I do need to use that evening time to catch up, but I try not to make it a regular thing. So no matter what kind of day you've had, obviously within reason, close your kitchen every night and your tomorrow self will thank you. Now the next tip sounds like it's the opposite of what I just said. Never fully close your kitchen, or at least that's what they said. And it kind of makes sense when you think about the fact that there's so many hands-off projects that could be working for you while you're sleeping or while you're off doing other things, even while you're out of the house. Always have something going in your kitchen, whether it's soaking beans or cooking anything in a slow cooker, because that usually takes takes like 8 to 12 hours anyways. You can have some broth simmering slow, and my favorite one is actually to have bread dehydrating. I take any old bread that we don't want to eat anymore, the ends of the bread, any bread that has been freezer burnt, and I just put it on a tray and just keep it on one of these shelves behind me, forget about it for a few days, and voila, I have super dry bread that I can make breadcrumbs with. If I have a little pocket of free time and I'm trying to get something done in the kitchen but I run out of ideas, I have a sticky note on my fridge of a list of hands-off projects that I could just quickly get something going before moving on to the next thing. The kitchen should quietly work for you. The next tip is, most of the people that I watched mentioned keeping a home management binder. Now I don't have anything like that, but something similar would be my planner, and I used to function off of that. The way I preferred to have my planner was I preferred to have it open on the dining table out all day so that I can refer to it, add things to it, and see what to do next. But I have a toddler now and she likes to climb things and scribble on things, so it's been just tucked away sitting. It takes an extra step for me to take it out, look at what I need to do and put it back. And since I'm kind of in the early stages of homemaking, I need everything just out in the open. I need to see what I'm supposed to do next, or else I will forget about it. I do like the concept of having a home management binder, but right now I prefer to have things out in the open so that I can actually see them and implement them in my home. So I've been putting everything on my fridge. I go to the fridge many times a day. I'm just gonna see it right out there in the open. Whatever I'm thinking about doing, all the thoughts floating around in my head of like, oh, I need to do this, I need to buy this, I need to do that, it has a place on my fridge. And I just immediately write it down because postpartum mom brain is a real thing, y'all. I will forget about it if I don't write it down. Until everything I'm supposed to do throughout the day becomes second nature to me, it's just gonna live right out there on my fridge. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing to look at, but it's functional. And right now, I'll take functional over aesthetic. All this to say, the next one is to keep an ongoing grocery list. How I used to do my grocery list system is just basically sit down once a week, the day before or the day of grocery shopping, and just quickly write down whatever I think we need. That was working for a while, but the problem with that is it required me to have like an uninterrupted, because I do it together with meal planning as well, it required me to have like an uninterrupted hour where I just sit down, think about what I'm making, think about what needs to be bought, and just write things down. And that just was not working for me anymore. So the thought of having an ongoing grocery list, like whenever I notice something's running low, immediately writing it down. By the time comes that I have to make the grocery list, it's pretty much like 90% of it is done. That's been working fabulously for me. This next tip I'm still working on is to learn to cook with your kids around you. The way I used to cook, and I still do, most of my meals I like to make them when the kids are napping. It does take some getting used to, and I'm still getting used to it. I find that eventually, eventually you'll get used to it and your kids will get used to it, and that'll just be a daily thing. I am having a hard time wrapping my brain around that. I think it's because my kids are so young. My oldest is 2 years old and my youngest is 8 months old. Maybe this will work out in the future, but learn to cook with your kids around you so that when they are napping, you can dedicate that time to other things. Like if you want to take a nap, you can take a nap. If you want to work on any hobbies that you have, just other things other than cooking. And I think for like big food prep days, it's kind of inevitable that that happens. But for the most part, I'm doing my best to get my kids used to having me cook around them. Now it does mean that I'm kind of having to step over toys and step over children while I'm like moving around in my kitchen. But I find that if I've already decided what I'm gonna make, if I've taken out the ingredients and everything that I need, easier to execute the actual cooking while they're there. I will continue trying this one and I will report back. The next one is to stop trying new recipes all the time. This one was hard to reconcile with because what do you mean I cannot try this fancy, amazing, gorgeous looking recipe that I just saw on Instagram Reels? It kind of impedes on your daily flow when you're constantly trying new things. I'm having to reconcile with the fact that if I want to try something new, I have to put it in my plan. I can't just on a whim do it. That's not the stage of life I'm in. There is a time and place for trying new recipes. It's just not when it's already 5 p.m. and there's a hungry toddler at your feet and you don't have all the ingredients you need. And the final tip is to reduce visual clutter in the kitchen. This one is pretty self-explanatory. I think about the fact that the kitchen is where I spend most of my time during my day. It makes sense that any mess in the kitchen bothers me the most out of anywhere in the house. Like literally my whole house could be in shambles, and if my kitchen is clean, I'm cool. We can just take it one step at a time and clean the rest of the house because my kitchen is clean. The more clutter there is on my countertop, A, even for practical reasons, is just taking up countertop space, and B, it's taking up mental energy for me to look at that thing, for me to have to clean that thing all the time. Anything that doesn't absolutely need to be on my counter, you're gone. So yeah, that is all I have for today. Learning from moms who have more kids than me and who are more advanced than me has truly changed my perspective on how my day-to-day goes. It reminded me that I'm capable of more than I think, and that small systems implemented on a consistent basis make a huge difference in my day. I'm still new-ish to homemaking. I'm still figuring things out, but I am committed to getting better and conquering the chaos of my brain, of my house, everything. If you have any tips that you really think help you in your kitchen and that you believe everyone else could benefit from, please leave it down below. I want to read those and learn from those. My goal is that every day in my home runs a little bit smoother and my day is just a little bit better than yesterday. Assalamu alaikum.